last weekend when I went to cut the grass, it wouldn't start. See? So it's not turning the engine over. So let's take a look right here. I've had this lawnmower since I was a kid. Since 1986. Okay, walk around over here. So this right here is the starter motor. And it turns a little gear called a Bendix up in here, which turns the flywheel of the engine to start the engine. And evidently the Bendix is turning, but it's not engaging, it's not going up. So I'm going to try something. Okay, go ahead and stop the video. What we're going to do is we're going to remove this cover right quick, and we're going to see if the Bendix, if it's not moving up. Should just be there's 2 screws. I changed the starter probably, I don't know, 15 years ago. So, got the cover off. There's the Bendix right there. And that's it's a plastic gear. They make these out of plastic so that if it were to fail, the teeth will chew up here and not on the flywheel, because that's really important. Let me put these screws in my pocket before I lose them. So let's try starting it. Video right here, and let's see what this is doing. But I bet it's staying down. It's supposed to kick up and get into the gears there. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, get a little bit closer. Let's see what happens. Yeah, see, it's not going up. See, it should move up. What I'm curious about, let's try something. Continue videoing. Let's try something. So the way this works is inertia is supposed to push that thing up, and I can feel that it's binding. So watch this. Let's spray a little silicone spray in there, just for the heck of it. Let me work it back and forth with my finger. Let's try a little bit more. Silicone is usually pretty safe things. Okay, this may or may not help it. Let's see what happens. No, we're going to have to replace the starter. So what we'll do is we'll go get the new starter, take this one off, and replace it with the new one. You can stop. Okay, this is the new starter. Bought it from Amazon. Now you have to remember, David, everything that's electrical or mechanical fails at some point. So either with it's fine. Anything with movement or electrical always fails. It's just a matter of time. So that starter that I put on probably 15 years ago, it's just not engaging. So here's the new one. And all it consists of is basically 2 bolts here and the power cable there. So there's no power on the cable unless we turn the switch. So normally I'd say let's disconnect the battery before changing anything like a starter, and we can do that just to be safe. But I know for a fact there's no power running through there right now with the switch off. So if you want to show right here, let me get a wrench. 7/16. You should always, when you're working on electrical on a car or even a lawnmower, just to be safe, disconnect the battery. And when you're doing this, never do anything stupid like touch these 2 terminals with anything metal at the same time, because it can arc. It basically grounds the battery terminals out. So what I'm going to do, just to be 100% safe, we're going to disconnect the negative side. So there's no way there's ever going to be power on the old starter while we disconnect it. So, alright, let's come over here. So basically we have to disconnect the cable here, which is the power. So that's done. No power on this starter. We have to unbolt it right here and right here. It'll be 1/2 inch. And this lawnmower has a lot of yards cut on it. It's cut a lot of yards in its lifetime, so I always try to take care of it. Let me put a wrench on that bolt because I can't get in there without a swivel. You can see the starter's already getting loose. So let's take this bolt loose. Take this one loose. Starter's off. So this is the old one. Bendix is perfectly good. It's just for some reason it wasn't kicking out. Could probably work on that and get it. We'll keep it as a backup. But anyway, let's put the new one on. Next thing you want to do when you go to replacing parts is you always want to make sure that the parts look like they're the same. So one of the things about a starter is you want to check the Bendix travel. So I can look right here and right here. This matches up. Teeth I know are the same. They should be 16 tooth. Yep. Bolt holes, same spacing. The new starter slightly longer. That may be an issue. Hopefully we'll have clearance. So let's try it. Okay, we got plenty of room on the downside. So what we'll do is we'll always hand start your bolts if you can. So that way you don't cross thread them, especially with steel bolts going into an aluminum thread. The engine is aluminum. So I want to hand start these bolts so I don't cross thread them. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make sure everything looks lined up before I tighten everything. And then you want to go from one bolt to the other. Don't ever crank down one bolt completely and then go to the other one. Always do them in stages, so that way I bottom both bolts out and I'm going to hand tighten them the same amount. And I'm going to walk back and forth between the two of them. It's kind of a procedure to torque them down. I'm not going to over tighten these. Never over tighten something. The last step, let's hook the battery cable up. I hope to God this nut's not metric. I hate having metric and standard. That's good. What I'm doing here is I'm holding the bottom of this cable so that when I tighten up the nut, let me back it up a little bit. See how whenever I backed it up, the cable turned? Well, the same thing happens when I crank down on this nut. It's going to want to turn the cable some. So I'm holding it to prevent it from cranking over so much, rotating. All right, that should have it. What we're going to do is we'll try it. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the cover off and we're going to try to start it to make sure that it will start before we put the cover on.
Okay.
So, ready? Oh, gotta connect the battery. Remember we disconnected the battery earlier.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Okay. Okay. Now we should be ready to start. Okay, watch the starter bendix right there. It should engage, come up and spin. See there? First try. So that's got it. So every time we crank it, the gear comes up like it should. Alright, let's replace the cover and we'll be done. Get a nut driver. Got the screws in my pocket so I won't lose them. And these are special screws if you notice. See, they've got a little shoulder on them. A little bit different screw. That's why I was afraid of losing them. What that shoulder does on those screws is it holds that cover, it centers in that cover. I'm going to go back and forth, just hand snug these, and we're good. So hopefully that starter will last another at least 10 or 15 years. Alright, we're done. You can stop it.